guys, welcome back to Quarantine Art with Mrs. Smith. Today we are going to be doing something that's kind of been all over the internet and all over Pinterest lately, is this geometric taped art. I see a lot of people doing this on their walls and on different surfaces because it looks super cool, super bright and colorful, and you can have a lot of fun with it. So this was actually brought to me by a student who had a question about how can she paint her bulletin board. She had a bulletin board that she wanted painted. She wasn't quite sure how to use it, so we kind of came up with this idea of doing this tape art. Now you could do this on a bulletin board, you could do it on a big canvas like I am. This was a canvas that I had in the basement. You could do it on any surface that you like. Now, I'm going to be turning this into sort of like a picture hanging board, and I'll show you how to do that afterwards if that's something you're interested in doing. But the first thing we need to do is we're just going to start out with a background color. Now, this was white in the background, and I wasn't 100% sure I wanted it to be harsh white, because wherever you tape off, that color is going to show through after you're all done. So I wanted something that was a little more soft, so I just painted it in off-white. I started with that. Now if you have a bulletin board background, you'll have that nice cork background, and that'll look really cool as well. So you can just decide what your background color is. Today we're going to be using acrylic paint, and what I've done here is I've just found a palette of colors that I like. It doesn't need to be all the same color. I've chosen kind of like oceany colors here. And another thing I've added in here is a metallic gold. I find when you do something like this, adding in like one or two areas that have that nice metallic is a really nice pop to it. So I'll add in now, after this, a couple different palettes so you can see what some different color combinations are. So you can have a chance to kind of get your brain wrapped around what colors you would like to use. Once you have your background ready to go, is you need to use some masking tape or painter's tape to make some different designs. The tape is kind of used as a straight edge there. So as you're working, you just want to make sure those lines are straight and you're not accidentally bending your tape in a weird direction here. The more pieces of tape you have, the smaller the pieces are going to be. I would start by doing a couple long pieces going from one side to another, and then you can add in smaller pieces to break up the larger sections as you need. So let's zoom through this and you can see what a taped off geometric pattern would look like. So the general rule with this is once we start painting is you don't want the colors touching each other. So what I would do is I would start out with the gold, or like your really bright accent color, the one that's going to pop the most, and pick a couple spots for that to go. And that's kind of where I would start off here. I would do kind of one color at a time, work your way through. So if I put, for example, gold here, I couldn't put gold here, 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 or here. because I don't want it to be touching. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because you need to just take your time and you don't want to kind of paint yourself into a corner and get stuck with your colors in spots that you don't really like. So if you want, one thing you could do is get a piece of paper and do a quick sketch, and then just mark out on the sketch where you want each color to go. That is what I'm going to show you guys how to do next, just in case that's something that you would like to try out. So you notice as I worked through, I started with the same colors. So I did all the golds, all the dark blue, all the light aquas. And as I worked through, I kind of got down to the last couple squares there, and I realized I couldn't put any other colors in this spot here without it touching something else. So I turned this one into gold because it doesn't touch another gold. And then I put a light aqua up there. So that's why it's nice to kind of have a plan as you go, and then I can put this off to the side and follow that as I work. So I'm going to start out with gold here. And the nice thing about this is I can work on this here and it's not going to touch any other color, so I don't really need to wait for that to dry. As I work, I can just kind of stop at the lines here. One thing you want to make sure is that your tape is down all the way. No bumps or anything in there. Make sure you give it a good press down so that the paint doesn't leak underneath. So I'm going to start out, well, gold, that's that corner right there. I'm using an acrylic brush, which is one of those coarse brushes. And I'm getting all the way to the edge there. Now I'm going to have to do more than one layer of this. I can see that right now. I'm going to need more than one layer, which is fine. I can come back and do another round later. This is also gold down here. And I'm just taping to the edges. Or painting to the edges of the tape there. And the one thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to smooth it out here so that all my brush strokes are all going in the same direction. That just gives it more of a finished look once we add multiple coats. Just like when you're coloring with pencil crayons, you want to be moving in the same direction to get a smooth, solid coat there. Okay, this piece up here is also gold. And I can just keep following my map as I work through this. And because I've chosen colors that complement each other, they look good together, I'm going to end up with a really nice, well, I've chosen oceany colors. It's going to end up being a nice oceany color scheme here. You can choose whatever colors are going to, that you think are going to look good in your house, on your wall in your bedroom, or anywhere you want to hang something like this. You might want to put a garbage bag underneath wherever you're working. I find acrylic paint sometimes spills off the edge there. And that is okay because it wipes off nice and easy with soap and water. Okay. So I have my gold here and I'm clearly not done with that. I'm going to have to let that dry, come back to it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom through the other colors here so you can see how this all works, and then we'll see what the final product looks like after that. It's a pretty easy one today, guys. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and add a second coat to all the other colors. I'm going to need to add a third coat to the gold here just because it's a slightly thinner paint. And so we're going to jump ahead to after all of that's done. So here comes the fun part now. Now we get to see what our design looks like with the tape off of it. So what we're going to do is you're going to find a spot that has a little bit of tape loose. You're still going to be super careful and just pull very carefully and slowly to reveal that nice crisp line in between there. That looks fantastic. Some of these I had wrapped underneath, so you can just kind of pick them off from underneath here. So it's going to leave these nice lines here, and it's going to leave us with a really cool geometric design. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom through this here, and you guys will be able to see what the final result looks like. Okay, so there we have it. I have this super cool geometric design here with all sorts of different colors that all kind of work together. So what my next step is going to be is I'm going to be adding some strings and some clips so that I could use this as a spot where I could hang photographs or something, or notes or whatever you want. If you're doing this to your bulletin board, then you would just leave it. You can tack right into that paint there. If you're doing it on a canvas like me, you might want to just leave it as is. Well, I'm going to show you guys how to do that next as an extra option. So for this step here, you're going to need 2 long pieces of string. I've chosen a bit of a thicker string here, but use whatever you want. And you're also going to need a hot glue gun to help you out with this. So this would be something that you probably need parent support with if you are a kiddo doing this. If you don't have a hot glue gun, you are able to use white glue or any sort of thick liquid glue that will allow this to stay on there well. So we're going to start out, we're going to be putting one across the top here. And instead of gluing it to the front, I'm going to find approximately where I want it and then flip it over like that. So then my strings are actually going to be glued onto the back of the canvas. So I'm going to take my hot glue gun. I'm going to start by just doing a line there. I'm going to use like another glue stick here. To hold it in place while it dries, and then I'm just going to add some reinforcement glue along the sides and over the top a little bit. So I want this to be about the same height here. Being super careful not to hurt myself with the hot glue gun. Keeping my fingers away. hot glue gun stick works really well to hold that down. A student taught me that one after I had burnt myself so many times. And then we just reinforce it. Okay, so that's one string there. When this dries, I'm going to add another string just about halfway down, a little lower than halfway down, and I'm going to repeat those steps again. And from there, I'm going to be able to add my clothespins so that I can hang up some nice pictures. So we're going to zoom through the next step here so you can see what that looks like. Your last step here, now that you have your strings across the front, is you can add some clothespins and use those to hang some nice pictures off of so that it ends up, this will pull down a little bit here when you add the weight of the pictures on, but then you can clip and just stick your photos in there and it'll be a nice picture display board. So as you can see, you can have a lot of fun with this. You can choose whatever colors you like. You can turn it into a photo board. You can use it to decorate a wall or a door or a bulletin board or canvas or whatever you want. Now you can play around also with what color background. If I were to do this again, I might try doing a black background first and then do the other colors on top to see how those pop. You could get really creative with doing dark backgrounds and really light, vibrant colors on top. But anyways, have a lot of fun with this, guys, and make sure you send me some pictures once you're all done.